Hey, it's me, Mr. Harlington. Today we are with N.E. Wilson, creator of the 1984 remake called 2034. It's based off of George Orwell's novel, 1984, but with a bit of a modern twist. Let's take a look. So thank you so much for joining me today, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you for having me.
That little clip we just saw there, that's pretty intense stuff. Could you maybe tell me a little bit more about it? The thing I tried to do was add a little bit more technology to it because I wanted to make it more relatable to the modern 21st century viewer. 1984 is over 30 years ago now, and it really doesn't seem to have as much connection, even though the message still applies. Okay, I see. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Could we maybe go a little bit through Winston's journey and the kind of general plot line of 2034, or as you're telling me, 1984? Yeah, so the movie is, like I said, it's the same as George Orwell's 1984. A little more technology, not so much as a continuation. It'll be the same timeline, just pushed ahead. It follows Winston Smith. He's a pretty average man, Winston being a lover of democracy, Winston Churchill, and Smith being one of the most common English names. But it follows him in the world of a totalitarian government called INGSOC, and the leader, Big Brother. They control every single aspect of the citizens' life in Oceania, the superstate that controls one of the three big domains of the world. In this superstate, the government uses many different forms to keep its citizens under wraps. Controlled participation, which takes form in the 2 Minutes of Hate, where political dissidents and rebels and enemies of the state are thrown up on the big screen as they confess crimes against the state. Propaganda is prevalent throughout the novel and the country. And fear. Fear plays a major role in all of the citizens' lives, and especially in Winston. Throughout the movie, we try to show how fear changes him and forces him to make the decisions he does. The thought police is one of those things that provoke a significant amount of fear. Winston says several times that they can come in the middle of the night and take you away and make you an unperson. It is this struggle between the state and Winston that is most basic in the story. Of course, Winston goes through his own personal conflicts within himself. Okay, I see. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Could we maybe go a little bit through Winston's journey? Yeah, so the book is divided into three parts. The first being Winston's own personal rebellion against the party and the government. This is through his purchasing of a diary or a journal. He begins to write in it, of course, a major crime against the state. Part 2 continues on with this rebellion with Winston, but more of a co-op rebellion with Julia, whom he had an intimate relationship with. The two together do actions against the governments for enjoyment, not just for the process of having children. This, of course, is not allowed by the state, as it provides the individual with power and passion to something else other than the state. Winston and Julia read Emil Goldstein's The Theory and Practice of Oligarchical Collectivism. The act of reading the book is one of the final things that Julia and Winston do together before they are eventually found by the Thought Police after ironically being watched for the past 7 years. They are arrested in a bedroom together where they find the person who gave them Goldstein's book actually was part of the Thought Police. Part 3 follows this arrest of Winston and Julia. They are tortured. Winston, they take the electricity and they zap his brain whenever he answers incorrectly or against his own beliefs. So if he lies, he's punished, and if he tells the truth but of what he truly believes, he is also punished. Over a period of what feels like months, although time, even throughout the whole novel, is pretty hard to tell, Winston is finished being tortured. In the end, he finds that he really does truly love Big Brother. The irony being that the protagonist loses, Winston. We want democracy and freedom to succeed, but the power of the government is just far too great. There's no stopping them once they get to that point. That, of course, was the message that George Orwell was trying to convey when writing 1984. Of course, this being back in 1949. His wishes were that the people, the citizens, would never let a government get to that point. Because once you get to that point with the technology that we have, there is no going back. But by preventing it from happening, by being aware of government control and the rights that you are giving up to the government, you would never have to believe that freedom is slavery, war is peace, and ignorance is strength. At the end of the story, Winston is a completely broken man. He is made to believe that 2 plus 2 really does equal 5 because the state tells him he's unable to make conclusions unless he's told what they are. And because of his love, his true devotion, there is no risk of his belief spreading anymore. So by killing him while he has already been rehabilitated, it really shows the true power of the government. Wow, it's a pretty dense story with a lot of details. Pretty hard to cover everything in just a short segment like this. It's been a pleasure. I really had a lot of fun working on this project. Got a lot of stuff on the run, but of course it's something that must be done. I believe that this novel's message about control from the government should be taken very seriously, and it still applies in all aspects of life, being over-controlled and manipulated by those who have authority over you. If you have any questions, please direct them to Mr. Hillman. Thank you.